Kick the bird out the nest and see if it flies. Welcome to episode 3 of Shine with Carrie. My dad had this philosophy, sometimes you gotta kick the bird out the nest to see if it flies. When I was younger, I was like, Dad, but like, what about the birds that didn't fly? He was like, well, that's the ones you see on the sidewalk. And I was like, Daddy. But really what his philosophy was is sometimes you just need to do it, and you need to do it uncomfortable. You need to do it not perfect. And one of the things I think for me is I feel like I have forgotten that. I have forgotten that it doesn't have to be perfect or 110% for it to go out, because like you don't know what you don't know until you actually get feedback to then be able to get it fixed and make it better. Right now we are in our, what I would say, beta round of an app software that I built called Daily 3. And it's one of the ones that I'm really proud of because I built it for me. Because so I always tell people I have dyslexia, but my dyslexia shows up differently because of the father that I had. So I was actually really good in school. I top 10, I was good in school. But when it came to after school, like reading books and going through documents, I would always find it really hard for me to actually focus and understand it. It would just become really overwhelming. Like my friends would send me paragraphs. They would know if you send Carrie a paragraph, she's never gonna read it. So what my friends do now, they'll send me a long paragraph, and then at the bottom they'll say, just read this, and then they'll have the thing, and then I'm like, oh, maybe they were like, so in summary, it's what this is a conversation. So now I do try to make sure that I do it, but the piece that in all of that is I found AI. And the thing about AI is able to, for me to be able to move faster and to push through stuff. So with this idea of kick the bird out the nest and see if it flies, I knew that one of my biggest things is I can answer questions. If you ask me, hey Carrie, what is this thing? I can rattle off something. But if I have to sit there and be like, okay, what am I posting about, or what am I talking about, or things like that, I would run into a wall. Also have a lot going on. Me and Heather are building a multi-million-dollar business, and we have team, we have clients. There's always stuff moving around, and I can't always just sit and be like, okay, what's my post for today? Especially when I have 10,000 things in my head. But one thing I'm always able to do is answer a question. So I was like, I really want to do better with content, and I don't want to just, we have our regular content that happens, that's fine, but I wanted content that met people where they are, that met me where I was, in the moment, in the experience, in the feeling of what was happening in the day. So that's kind of where Daily 3 came from. It's like, if I can answer 3 questions every day, if I could be able to create posts that spoke like me, that spoke in my voice, because what would happen a long time ago is I would try to write something, and my best friend Solera would be like, who wrote this? I'm like, me. She was like, you wrote that? I was like, yeah. She was like, don't ever write anything. She was like, just do video. But sometimes people, there are a lot of people that like reading things, and they would never see my stuff because all I did was video. So the fact that I can be able to then voice record something, share my thoughts, share my feelings, and then be able to curate a post that sounds exactly like me, that sounds like it came from my heart, is super exciting. So when we first launched it, I launched it just with myself. And in a month, I went from having about 2,000, a reach of about 2,000 because I was not posting at all on social media, to having over 18,000 page views and people actually coming to my page because of that. That was my reach, and it was crazy to me because I'm like, man, and all it took was 10 minutes a day. So then we start branching it out to some of our internal clients. We start branching it out to even Heather. So Heather started using it. She was like, oh my gosh, Carrie, this is so great. And then one of our clients, she was like, Carrie, you need to sell this, because I was like, hey, I got to do my Daily 3 really quick. And she was like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's this my content thing that I do. And she was like, wait, where is that? How do I sign up for it? And I was like, I don't know. And it's funny because when I built it, I built all of that stuff out and to begin with, because I think there was a piece of me that wanted to make it something bigger, but I just mentally wasn't ready. This idea of kicking it out the nest and see if it flies is truly that thought process. Is I'm gonna launch Daily 3 content. Just by being able to launch and having a few people sign up already, we've already bettered the onboarding process. We've been able to better some of the UI UX because other people are seeing it. But if I would have never never kicked it out the nest. If I would have never see if it flew, I would never known that. It would have just been sitting in the nest, holding up space. I would have been using it. I would have known how amazing it was, but no one else would have been able to do so. So that's really what the whole idea of kicking out the nest to see if it flies is. It's just being able to touch stuff, try stuff. And in the role of AI, at least for me, it allows me to be able to do stuff faster, be able to share the ideas and the stuff that I'm working on, and just push it out to other people and say, hey, like, if it flies, it flies. And also, if it doesn't, there's probably another bird in the nest that you can kick out to later and see if it flies. It's funny, when I used to do content, I used to call it pet fish energy. But I also think it plays a part in this idea of kick the fish out of the nest to see if it flies as well. Because like we used to have goldfish growing up before, because it took forever for us to get a dog, like forever. And the dog we got like literally took some work to be able to get into our house. But like we would have our goldfish, we would jump out the fishbowl and we would like, my mom would be like, oh, there's another one committing fish-a-side. But I didn't know that all this was happening. I used to just think that Bert and Ernie lived forever. I was like, man, like all my other friends' fish like only live a few months. Like ours have lived for years. And they're like, my mom's like, I think that's like Bert and Ernie the 13th. And I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, whenever one dies, I just get another one and put it in the tank. And it was funny to me because at first then I was like horrified. But then when I start thinking about content and how we were helping people with content, and like a lot of times people having this, like, oh, I spent so much time getting this together and putting this piece together. And if it doesn't do well, there's all this emotional pressure and this emotional frustration that lays on them. But if you put pet fish energy on it, and I find it's when you do it, use a short amount of time, or you batch things, the emotion goes away. Good example with daily 3 content, it takes you 10 minutes to do 3 posts. So if the 3 posts don't do well, guess what? You'll spend 10 minutes tomorrow, but you're not spending hours to do it. Same thing when you batch content. You have a lot of amount of time to batch your content, get it done. And when you batch content, you don't even remember what content posted because it was batched. So that's really the idea of kicking at the nest to see if it flies. And if it doesn't work, it's okay. There's more in there for you. There's not a lot of birds that just lay one egg. They lay a lot. It's that same idea. It's like there's always another bird that you can kick out of the nest. It's not just like this is the one bird I have. If it doesn't make it, I'm done with and it's over. It's like, no, there's another bird that has the opportunity to be able to fly and put itself out there and really like share its magic with the world. So that's it. That's me. And I'll see you in the next episode.